Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, and this is another Beat Matt Batrep.
We work so you can play. MiniWarGaming's Beat Matt Batrep.
Today, Dan has come in to challenge me. You may remember Dan from past battle reports, such as Eldar versus Tyranids, right?
Yes.
And today will be another Eldar versus Tyranids. Eldar is an army we don't see often enough. They are rumored to get an update this year, so cross your finger, Eldar players. It just might happen. And we are going to do a 1,750 point game of Eldar versus Tyranids. So let's take a look at the armies as well as the scenario. So let's take a look at my 1,750 point Tyranid army. Decided I wanted to experiment a little bit, just because that's what I like to do. So for my HQs, I brought 2 Tervagons. I forgot how much the Eldar like to shut down Psychic, but I'll pay for that in this game, as you will see. There's 2 Tervagons there, and we got the Doom of Malantine. Now, I wanted to bring him more for fluff purposes because he's such a big enemy to the Eldar, but he's awesome either way, and a Spore Pod as well. Then for the troop choices, we got 3 groups of 20 Hormigons, all with Toxin Sacks. So hopefully they'll be doing some heavy hitting. And they're fast, that always helps. And just for fun, even though you shouldn't do this, I brought 3 groups of Spore Mines, 2 groups of 3 and 1 group of 4. They're overpriced, they don't really work that well, but I thought, hey, let's have some fun. And here's where I want to really experiment. 3 Carnifexes. The weapons on there aren't really accurate. They're actually going to have 2 Twin Link Devourers each. So 12 Strength 6 Twin Link shots. So people say it's good. Let's try it out. Let's take a look at Dan's Eldar army. Beautifully painted, really well assembled and everything. We got Eldrad here. This is actually, he converted a model to make Eldrad. Eldrad's awesome as a psyker, just super powered. And then we got another Farseer. He's got 2 awesome psykers in his group. And then he's got a group of Guardians here with a missile platform and a Warlock. And then we got some Dire Avengers, which are, you know, a good little squad to have as well. And then we got another group of Guardians with their Warlock. The Warlock gives them Embolden, which lets them reroll their leadership tests. And that's awesome, because it even helps the Eldrad reroll his psychic tests. We got a group of Fire Dragons, a group of Striking Scorpions, a group of Eldar Jet Bikes, nice and fast in their troop choices in this list. We've got an Eldar Fire Prism. We got our War Walkers, which have 24 Strength 6 shots, which is awesomely ridiculous. We got a Wave Serpent troop transport for the Fire Dragons, and another Fire Prism. So very, very solid Eldar list, and they are rumored to come out with a new update this year, which would be very good for them and for everybody else who has to play against them. So looking at the scenario and deployment, we decided to go with Big Guns Never Tire, which is basically there's objectives, and your heavy support can take objectives, even if it's a vehicle. So his Fire Prisms can take objectives. And also you get an extra victory point for killing heavy support. So he has 2 heavy support, I have 3. So that gives me the advantage in taking objectives, but him the advantage of getting extra victory points. So it kind of balances out in that way. So we rolled off, and I got to decide who went first. So I want to go first, of course. And we did roll for night fighting. I just want to point out, we often roll for night fighting after we deploy, but that's actually incorrect. You're supposed to roll for night fighting before you deploy. And then I remembered that I got to place my Spore Mines. They actually deep strike into anywhere on the board, but before deployment starts. So I want to deep strike them. And now the ruling on where you can deploy, people used to think, and I think in 5th edition this was the case, that you can't deploy within 12 inches of an enemy unit. That is true for infiltrate and for scout moves, but it's not true for when they're Spore Mines. It's in the Tyranid FAQ, just to clarify, because it doesn't actually say anywhere in the rulebook that you just have to make sure you deploy at least 1 inch away from them. And so it used to be, I believe in 5th edition, that you have to be 12 inches away from them, so you can kind of deploy them throughout their deployment zone and force them to be in a certain area. But these ones don't deny it that much, which makes them that much less useful. In fact, I don't know why you'd ever bring them unless you're just having fun, like I like to do with my lists. So he's trying to decide where to place all his guys, and then he eventually gets the idea to put his tanks right beside them, because when they randomly move, the Spore Mines, if they come in contact with an enemy, they explode. Well, they're only strength 4, so they can't really hurt the armor of a tank unless they hit the back. So it's kind of smart for him to shield it, because it's very likely that I'll scatter into one of his vehicles then. So he did not try to steal initiative, so we try to find out what this river is, and it is Hyper Slime. Hyper Slime gives you Feel No Pain. This objective is the grav thing, where if you try to charge somebody controlling the objective, that one's nothing, then you have your charge distance, so it's not really a big deal. So the first one, if you roll a direct hit then you get to decide where it goes. So the first one drifts away and the other one drifts and explodes, which of course will destroy himself and his 2 buddies there because they're toughness 1, which really sucks. This one gets to drift where I want, so I'm going to drift him away, basically trying to draw his fire away from my guys because he has a lot of firepower. The other one then drifts into his tank, exploding himself and his buddy. So you can see that his idea of putting tanks there was actually a very good one. So easy counter to spore mines who are already useless. So this one scatters a little that way, then this one scatters a little that way, and this one scatters. So that one is actually pretty good. So the Hyper Slime River gives anybody feel no pain who's in it. Oh, we go to Birth Termagants. Sorry, I got to do this. And I rolled 2 2s and a 1. So I only get 5, and he doesn't get to go anymore. So that's almost just to the worst that you can roll for a Termagant. Maybe the other one will make up for it. No, it doesn't. I roll another 2 2 and a 1. So my 2 Termagants in this entire game will have produced 10 Termagants. And yes, that is pitifully low. On average, each Termagant will produce 15 to 20 Termagants. And so the fact that with 2 of them I produced 10 is just awful and really, 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 really sucks. So anyways, oh yes, we found out what that forest was. It was a Razorwing Nest, and since I had rolled for difficult terrain and rolled at least a 4, then they activated the Razorwings, and the guy inside the forest died. He got eaten to pieces by those Razorwings. But that's okay, we'll get it with biomass later on and incorporate the Razorwings into our fleet and then make some new Tyranid units. And then the Termagants get to activate and move forward. So finishing the Hyper Slime thing, Hyper Slime gives you feel no pain, and also if you want to leave it, you have to make a leadership test to move out of it. Now it's not very clear in how that works unless the FAQ clears it up. We didn't look. So basically we said if you want any model to leave it, the entire unit has to make a leadership test. And if they make it, then anybody can leave it. If they fail it, then you have to stay in it. And that goes for running or assaulting or anything. So that's it, just moving up, spawning hardly any Termagants. Now Eldrad, he gets to cast 3 psychic things. He's a psyker level 3, but he gets to actually use the same one more than once, and he does it all in before the movement phase. So he's casting Guide, which lets rerolls. He's casting Fortune, which reroll all saves on himself. And so basically just buffing all his guys to make him nice and powerful. Now his Farseer rolled on the psychic powers in the rulebook and got Prescience, which basically lets somebody reroll their failed 2 hits in both close combat and shooting. And then he moves his tanks around. They're fast, so moving 12, he can still fire 2 weapons, and I think they only have 2 weapons, so that works out nicely. And then he wants to spread out his guys a little bit because my Turvagons have the large blast rather than the Assault 4. Then he moves his Warwalkers back, and because it is night fighting, remember, everybody will have cover, but he wants to make sure I can't fire at his Warwalkers because those Dock Effects, the Carnifexes with 12 Strength 6 shots that are twin-linked, do have a good chance of taking out vehicles. Light to medium vehicles. Obviously not heavy ones like Land Raiders or things with armor 13 on the front. Then everybody shifts around. Now I'm hoping to use a strategy. Well, I'll talk about my strategy in a second. He's going to fire at these guys who do have Feel No Pain, and he manages 2 wounds, and I have Feel No Pain, and I fail it completely. Oh, sorry, I got a cover save, and then I failed both the cover save and the Feel No Pain. The cover save from being stealthed. Then he fires 24 shots at my Carnifex, and does tons of wounds, and I get a 3+ save and I fail it, and that's first blood for him, and he gets a victory point for killing the heavy support. So already one of the Carnifexes have been taken out. This is why I wish they had 6 wounds. Obviously that would be nice. Then he fires, he does the whole combining the fire of the 2 fire prisms, which adds 1 to the strength, which will insta-kill. In this case it's important because it ignores the Feel No Pain, and he manages to kill 3 for 4 Hormigons. And then the other one can't fire its main weapon, but can still fire its secondary weapon, so it attacks the Spore Mine and destroys it. It's really not hard to kill Spore Mine. Then these guys fire at it. We just automatically take it away because it would be next to impossible for them to actually not kill it. And then he opens fire on the other Carnifex with his Troop Transport with the Wave Serpent. And he manages 3 hits, needs 4s to wound, and he fails that. Needs a 2 to wound with the other thing. He gets it. I do get a 6+ cover save, because it was AP 3 for the missile, and so he loses a wound, so he's down to 3 on this Carnifex. And then these guys are moving. What are they doing? I don't even know what that was. I think it was a leadership test to see if they could leave, and they failed it, or they made it. I don't even know what that was. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. He's firing at the other Carnifex at the missile platform and manages another wound. Oh no, sorry, I managed to save that. So he had 1 shot, and I saved it because I had a nice cover save from being inside the terrain and being like shrouded. So end of round 1, we take a look around, and I got 2 of the objectives. so that gives me 6 points, and he's got 2 points already for First Blood and killing a heavy support. He's got tons of psychic stuff all over him. I'm outgunned here, so hopefully I can just use some strategy to win. But, you know, Turbogons and having spawned so little really sucks. So stay tuned for part 2. If you're not a Vault member, then you can watch the rest of this by going to miniwargaming.com/free-DVDs to join the Vault for free for 7 days and get a free DVD. And if you are a Vault member, just click on the link below to watch the next part. Happy wargaming.